Okay, so we can start our session. Thank you all for joining today evening. So today our topic is a very interesting topic. Why do I regret my choices? Okay. So before I really talk about the two words in the sentence, regret and choices. Okay. So one word that we often interchangeably use with regret is guilt. Okay. So it's important to understand, are we feeling guilty or are we regretting? And often people tend to interchangeably use these terms, but these two terms are very different. Okay. Persistent guilt can make a person to regret. However, regret is very different from guilt. Okay. So I'll just give a small, story example to illustrate this. So there was this young boy who wanted a magic slate and pencil, and that was costing like 15 rupees. School mein kabhi kabhi aate hain na, stalls lage rehte hain, fun fair, and he wanted to buy this magic pencil, and the cost of it was 15 rupees. Now he came back home and told his parents that I want to buy this pencil and it costs 15 rupees. And they somehow did not see why he needs to have that magic pencil, and they said, no, you are not going to get it. So he tried all his ways, by crying and everything, and nothing worked out. And now he tried asking his father, nothing worked out. Then he realized that, okay, next week in my house there is a puja which is going to be held, and his father had collected 108 5 rupee ka coin. Okay, so that was done to give away as gifts. So people who come to give them the prasadam, along with the prasad, along with the laddu, they will give a 5 rupees coin. So he became aware of this, that ghar pe there is a lot of 5 rupee coins. So out of 108, if I just take away 3, it's not a big deal after all. So he thinks like this, and puja mein abhi ek hafta ka time hai, nobody will get to know. So he just very stealthily flicks off the 3 coins, and he goes and buys that pen, and then he hides it in his cupboard. He's very happy, he's flaunting the pen in the school and everything. And then just a day before the puja, when the mother, she starts preparing the prasad, the packets as a giveaway, she realizes that 3 coins are missing, and naturally she asks her son, did you take the coins? And he says no. And then later on, a few days later, she finds out in the child's cupboard that he has the pen, and she very well remembers the child coming and saying this pen was costing 15 rupees. She understands that, okay, he has actually he stole the coins, he stole the money, and he has purchased it. So she goes and she reprimands the child, and she scolds him that how could you do this, and she gives him moral lessons on it. So she tells him that first of all, you have committed the act of stealing. Ek to chori kiya, upar se jhoot bola. You have stolen the money, and on top of that you lied that I don't know where the 3 coins went. Now this made the child feel very bad, and the mother makes a statement that all this while I thought you were innocent, I didn't know you were so cunning. And the child feels very bad, child feels very hurt. And now the child starts to think that I had this very nice image in front of my mother, that I had that trust, I had that love, and that is what I've lost now. Okay, that is what I've lost, and it's because of this act that I committed. So this act itself is a wrong act, stealing is a wrong act. And the mother now withdraws a little bit of her affection from this child, and then he eventually makes up for it by not eating in the canteen, saving his pocket money, and returns back to her much more than what he had taken away. So he returns back around 20 rupees to her, and then he feels that yes, there was that loss of affection and trust, and he wanted to now restore it. Okay, so here the child was actually feeling guilty, okay, because he had committed something wrong. Okay, so when we say that we feel guilty about something that we did, it comes from that sense of wrongdoing. some action that we took that was morally not right, it was ethically not right. Okay, so this becomes the basis of feeling guilty. And we often mistake guilt and regret are the same. So I'll just explain how the two are different. Okay, now regret, it comes where you start believing at a later point of time that in the past I should have done something else. Okay, so generally most of the people that I interact with, they do have regrets about two areas of their life, which are the major two areas of their life. Okay, one is the career, and then the relationship that they had. So they say that I actually did not want to pursue this stream of course, and because my parents pushed me to take this, so therefore I ended up becoming so and so, this and this, and I had to choose this college, this stream. Had I expressed my desires at that point of time, had I put my foot down and said, this is what I want to pursue, I think my life would have been different. I would have been in a much happier space. I would not have been in this paradox of how do I juggle my responsibilities and do the side hustle now. All of those things is when we actually start doubting our decision, that we took a decision and now there is a excessive dissatisfaction about it. Okay, there's not just dissatisfaction, but there is that excessive dissatisfaction that had we taken that decision, the outcome today would have been different. Okay, so this is how we differentiate guilt from regret. Okay, so therefore regret, when we use the word regret, it takes into picture the word choice or decision. Okay, where we made a certain choice that gave us a certain set of consequences, and those consequences were unfavorable to us, or those consequences became unfavorable to people involved in our family circle. It became unfavorable to them, and that is where we think that, oh my god. So the kind of language that we then start framing is that I should have done this, I could have done this, I would have done this. Correct? So all of this should have, could have, would have. So not doing something that you really wish that you had done. Okay, and that regret becomes a lot more frustrating if you probably knew that you had the choices and you decided to overlook the red flags. That at that point of time, the wisdom that you had made you feel that maybe I'll just give this one chance, let me just experiment with it. So at that point of time, although you had many alternatives, you decided to choose a path. Now that has given you a consequence which is not very favorable. So this is where the regret starts. Okay, and many people, they hold on to regret for years and years. Okay, and these are regrets which like they date back to 5 years back and 10 years back, and like the world would have moved on so much, but they still hold on to it so strongly. I remember I had a friend, and they have a jewelry business, and somehow during the pandemic time, all the businesses, they started establishing an online presence. So at that point of time, he somehow missed it because the focus was on securing his family, and a lot of other things had taken priority, and he could not do this. He could not take this initiative to move his business online. And he felt that many others in his field who had done that, they were able to secure more orders, and somehow they could get the ball moving. They were able to secure some revenue at least, but he was not able to book any revenue. So even today, it's been 5+ years that the pandemic is over and normalcy has resumed, and still today he thinks about it, that that opportunity that I lost. So today I ask him, today who is stopping you from moving online? Today is anybody stopping you? And then he says, but at that point of time, the others who shifted their business online, they are already ahead of me. They already have this much engagement on their social media page. Now when I start participating in the race, I will anyway be, behind. I will still be behind. So now I feel, why should I really, do it? So today as such, nobody is stopping him, but the regret is so heavy that he's today not able to make the decisions. Okay. So I'll just pause here. Anybody wants to add anything? You can raise your hands in case you have anything to add, anything to contribute. Okay. So I'll continue. So just like I was giving the example of my friend, who today nobody is stopping him from, setting up his store online. Today, there is practically nothing that is coming in his way. Okay. But then because he had made a decision that had not worked out for him in the past, today somewhat it has affected his ability to make decisions. Okay. So now whenever he has to make a decision in life, whenever he has to make a choice in life, today only he will start thinking that, is this a decision which I may regret in the future? If I do this, then what could be the consequence of this? And if I do that, what could be the consequences of that? And his focus is automatically on the word regret. That is this something that I will end up regretting? Correct? So he's not looking at it that, let's see what is the learning I get out of it, or let's see, how well this particular alternative works for me. But the focus is so much on regret that somewhere his decision making is not happening. He's rather delaying to make decisions. Okay, because the weight of regret is so heavy. So at a later point of time, this is very, very natural that at a later point of time we all evolve. When we look back in our life, in hindsight, we are able to connect the dots. We are able to understand the blind spots that we missed, the red flags that we ignored, the risks that we did not take, the opportunities that we let go. So in hindsight, everybody can do a very nice post-mortem analysis of it. Correct? In hindsight, we can even blame Gandhiji and say he should not have done the Satyagraha movement in this way. We can even blame the entire way our country got independence and say, actually, Bhagat Singh should have done this. And now also we can say Modi should have done this and that. And this is how maybe the decisions were supposed to be taken. But that's not, unfortunately, how it works. This is what you will say today. Okay, when you have knowledge of it, when you have this much, evolved with so many other, alternatives, because now you have seen the various outcomes. Now you have seen the consequences. So today it is very easy to look back and pass a judgment that had I taken a different path, had I pursued a different decision, the outcome would have been different. Okay. So it's very easy and it's almost natural that at a later point of time, we will wish that we had not made that decision, or we will simply wish that we had made a different decision. Okay. So what are the three things that happen because of this? When now we are not only, now that regret of the past, okay, how does it affect our present and the future? It does not allow us to step in and take ownership of the future. Okay, so we will tend to now avoid action because somewhere we have started believing that we only make bad choices or we only make bad decisions. Because in the past I made some decisions and I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with how it turned out. So now it's very easy to fool our mind. So like this example of my friend. So when I asked him that, okay, you're not today, nobody is stopping you from having the store online. So what are you getting by regretting this decision? So he told me that there is a certain satisfaction that is coming out of it, that at least, I'm acknowledging that, yes, I could have taken a different path. At least I'm acknowledging that, yes, I did not make my online entry at the right time. So that feeling of acknowledgement makes me happy that, yes, I'm not a fool. I'm at least having the awareness that, yes, I did not, grab the opportunity at the right time. So now that sense of awareness isn't empowering him. It's not really empowering him, because awareness is ideally supposed to help us in now making choices ahead of us, not behind of us, right? But here, it's very, he is, that regret is keeping him in his comfort zone, wherein he's thinking that if I every day sit and regret about these choices that I've made, the decision that I've made, then somewhere I'm acknowledging my fault. I'm taking ownership of my mistake. Okay? But he's actually not doing anything about it. He's not doing any kind of course correction to now make it right. Okay? So in the process, what happens? We avoid taking the action that is needed to be taken. We delay the decision. We delay the decision. And of course, the entire, idea, the analysis paralysis has already started. Okay. So I'll take a pause here. Anybody wants to, are you guys able to resonate so far with everything that I've said? इतना तो बोल, समझ में आ रहा है ना? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Vishal. Okay. So that I know that you guys are there on the other side. You might not participate, but at least suna hai, and we are on the same page as far as the understanding is concerned. Correct? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So then I'll. Okay. So Rupali is asking: is regret about past and is guilt about present? Okay. So Rupali, were you there when I told the story of this child who wanted the magic pencil? You were not there, है ना? So I just started the conversation by explaining the point of difference between regret and guilt, that the two are very different. Okay, so regret comes from believing that the action that we have done is morally wrong. Okay, so the focus is on the act itself. However, regret is more about the decision making ability of ours, the choices that we made. Okay, yes, Vishal.
Yeah, so Prerna, that story, whatever you were mentioning, that is my story actually. I mean, like exactly word to word, but just it was not a magic pencil, but it was for the crackers. So two things happened. I did stole those 5 rupee coins and bought crackers and burnt it before Diwali. So my parents did not know it. So two things came out of that. The consequence was, one was the belt treatment by my father. And the second one was the guilt. There were two kinds of guilt. One guilt was that I did something wrong, but that guilt was pretty much faint. But the other guilt was that my father was a teacher, so the other guilt was that the teacher's son cannot do this. So that was a bigger guilt for me rather than me doing something wrong, like stealing. But that was there, but this was taking over the other guilt. But the story, like word to word, you said exactly the same thing. Yeah. Instead of mother, it was my father here.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, I can actually, visualize this entire story, because this is, I think, something that, most children have done when we wanted to buy something, some goodie, and, we did not have enough, enough coins to buy it, enough cash to buy it. So yeah, some, adjustment we have done, and, we end up getting schooled for it, correct? So guilt in a way allows us to see what is morally right and wrong. So if a person never feels guilty, then it's very difficult to actually, they don't have the sense of discrimination, what is morally right and what is wrong. So what is true and what is, not true. So then they will, always feel entitled, and, it's very, very difficult then to actually give them feedback, to correct them. So a little bit of, guilt is good, because then it helps us to, be morally right. It helps us to understand the consequences of our wrongdoing. So guilt comes from, actions which are not good, which are, perceived as they're not sincere, they're They're not rightful. Okay. But regret comes more from we made a decision. Okay. And at that point of time, we made it. We made it with whatever known variables that we had at that point of time. And so at a later point of time, we start thinking that, I shouldn't have made this decision after all. Maybe I should have waited a bit. Maybe I acted in haste. Maybe this, this decision was too risky a decision, to be taken at that point of time. Or sometimes it can also happen that there was no negative consequence, but somebody else who took some other decision, they had a super favorable, outcome of it. Say you wanted to maybe buy, I'll give the example of, investing in stocks. So you wanted to, invest in certain stocks. And at that point of time, your belief was that, yes, this company has good fundamentals and is going to give me a good return on my investment. And say your friend, wanted to selected another stock pick. And then 5 years down the line, you guys are comparing the annualized returns and how much, investment returns that you guys have made. And then we think that, okay, I've also made, returns. My friend has also made a profit, but, his profit is more than mine. So now we again start regretting that maybe the decision that I took was a right decision only, but still it was not executed properly. Maybe it was not well thought of. Maybe it was not planned out well. It was good to invest in that stock, but maybe the timing, we missed out on the timing, right? So again, regret can not only happen when something goes terribly wrong in our life, it can also happen when we see others having made choices and decisions that has worked out for them well. And then we start thinking कि हमें भी वही choices लेने चाहिए थे, हमें भी वही करना चाहिए था जो उन्होंने किया, तो शायद हमारा life भी वैसा ही होता. So now we are looking at the favorable outcomes of others and regretting the decisions that we have made. When in reality, the decisions that we have made has not per se given us very bad consequences. But अब क्योंकि वो एक comparison आ गया, now again we get back into the judgment mode. And we think that, ठीक है, I should have well thought it, I should have executed it better. है ना? तो ये भी क्या हो जाता है कि whether you regret it this way because something happened favorably or you regret it the other way, ultimately what happens is it turns into a sort of obsession. एक पागलपन जैसा हो जाता है, wherein then you get into this pattern of mentally reviewing every single decision. ठीक है, डिसीजन लेते ही आपके मन में वो डाउट आ जाता है कि सही कर रहा हूँ क्या मैं, am I doing the right thing, is it really true, should I at this point of time, मतलब you are just about to maybe buy this stock or you're just about to invest your money in something or take a major decision. You have thought about it everything, but still just when you're going to jump off and make the decision, you step back. That voice tells you, Dekha, last time you took the decision and you know what happened. This time, why don't you take some more time? Why don't you step back? Why don't you evaluate more? Why don't you ask others? Why don't you seek validation? ऐसा करते करते क्या होता है कि we end up wasting a lot of time. Those time, it just आपको पता ही नहीं चलता है कि कब दिन महीने में बदल जाते हैं, महीने सालों में बदल जाते हैं. Correct? Like the example that I was giving you. लॉकडाउन हटके 5 साल हो गए. We are in 2025. 5 years are over. And today, if the person starts, if he starts the online presence, yes, you can only build from where you start. So today, when you look at others who are already successful, तो उस time पे they are the people who took the risk. Okay. Now you were not able to take the risk because आपके priorities उस time पे अलग थे. So today, आप नहीं expect कर सकते हो कि आज when I start my business online, I should have the same level of growth and success that other people are having who started 5 years back. Yes, they will be ahead of your journey. And that is where we have to make peace with the decisions that we made. we have to come to the point of acceptance with the choices that we made. ठीक है, ये इतना सब कुछ जो रहता है कि now we have developed a fear of making new decisions, or we are sitting and regretting about our decisions. We are in a state of freeze, not able to think anything. ठीक है, ये सब कुछ जो भी हो रहा है, it's more of a coping mechanism that we have developed. Okay, so we go on, we start this pattern of rumination. So rumination matlab, excessively repeating the same story in our head again and again, excessively repeating the same conversation, the same scenario in our head again and again. Okay, and somewhere because we believe that it is going to ease our discomfort, बार बार उसी चीज के बारे में सोच के अलग अलग आउटकम सोचा, तो it's a fiction that we have created कि ऐसा किया होता तो आज मजे में होते, but क्या आज आप मजे में हो? नहीं हो, है ना? तो today if you start, today is there any possibility that you can build, you can start from scratch today and you can build today? Yes, there is that possibility, but again we are not able to do that. Okay, so I'll just take a pause. Anybody wants to say anything, add anything? हाँ, विशाल, you have written introspection. ये कौन से point के लिखा?
For the one where you were saying that guilt, a certain amount of guilt is required for us to move forward.
हाँ, correct. Yeah, there is always that healthy part of guilt and that unhealthy part of guilt. So the healthy part of guilt, like in our story, we saw that he felt कि हाँ, I had stolen the money, so therefore I have to replace the money. तो वहाँ पे उसने action लिया. He backed up the guilt with now a corrective action, and then he restored the money. So now that is where he used guilt to grow, to evolve. ठीक है, लेकिन वही guilt लेके if we start beating ourselves down, then something worse can actually happen. वो guilt actually बहुत जल्दी फिर shame भी बन सकता है. Correct? Wherein now the child does not believe that what I did was wrong. The child starts believing that I am wrong and whatever I do is wrong. मैं जो भी करता हूँ वो गलती है, मैं जो भी बोलता हूँ या बोलती हूँ वो गलती है ना? तो guilt can alchemize and help us to grow or evolve, or sometimes the unhealthy side of it will keep us stuck and it will further make us vibrate at a lower energy. Okay, thanks Vishal. How to overcome the regret of taking wrong decision in a relationship. Okay, so Rupali, are you able to speak and have this conversation? Is that possible for you today? अच्छा, then the work that okay. हाँ, so कोई भी जब हम लोग choice लेते हैं, ठीक है, there are two kinds of decisions that generally we have to make in life. Some are the decisions which as such do not carry any consequences. ठीक है, there's a new outlet that you which has started near your new ice cream outlet which has started near your house, and आप गए, you wanted to eat say Belgium chocolate, and the shopkeeper he tells you कि ये नया flavor आया है. So during Holi time they had a Thandai flavor ice cream. He tells you, why did you try Thandai? Kya everyday chocolate? So you say, okay, fine, I'll just give it a chance, and you say, okay, this time I'll try Thandai flavor. But that doesn't turn out to be a good one. In fact, you did not really like the taste. तो अभी वो डिसीजन का क्या है कि it's hardly anything. तो आपको लगता है कि ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, next time I'll take what I want. So these are the decisions wherein we don't have to think a lot. Somebody can give us some advice and we are okay to bite and we are okay to take it. Okay? Now the second kind of decision is wherein it can affect our life to a greater magnitude. Okay? It could be the choices of career that we make, the relationship that we get into. So now when it comes to these choices, of course, some amount of decision making is required, but that decision making is required I would say at the level of, aligning to each other's, values. Okay? And a lot of times, clients, like I was talking to one lady the other day, and she told me she met her husband in an arranged marriage setup. And they had a coffee at a restaurant. And she said, something clicked between us in the very first meeting. Something just clicked. I could, feel that something, something to spark hua hum logon ke beech mein, that yes, I'm willing to give this a try, and I would like to marry this guy. And she said, I could feel the same from the guy's side as well, that he also would like to take it forward. Okay, they got married, and they had a very difficult marriage, and they had a very, again, messy divorce, not an amicable one. And although she has, accepted that the relationship is over and everything, so she had this one question, that what was that spark that I felt initially when I met him? Kya tha wo spark? Kyunki baad mein I never felt it with him. Baad mein it almost felt like, he's exploiting me, and he's using me, and he's abusing me, and all of that. So, but initially, though, I didn't get that kind of a feeling. I got something else. And what was that? So then I told her, it could be that, you guys got clicked vibrationally. And so later she said, his moral values are totally different. His upbringing, the way he treats his family and parents, and the way that I, look up to, बहुत अलग है. हम दोनों बहुत ज़्यादा अलग है. हम लोगों का mindset very different. How can we be in a marriage together? Then what was that click that I felt? So I told her, it's quite possible that, you guys were not a match initially on the level of your, value system, which you figured out eventually. But at that point of time, he was a match for you vibrationally, because that is the thing about, the vibrational frequency. We cannot fool it. If we are strongly carrying certain negative emotions inside of us, if it is fear, if it is guilt, if it is shame, then we attract those experiences in our life. It could be in the form of a romantic partnership, it could be in the form of certain friendships or experiences, which will be a vibrational match to respond to that energy at which you were vibrating. Okay? So now in a relationship, I'm assuming, Rupali, from your question, that you chose the wrong person. Is that the undertone of what you're asking, that you chose the wrong person? हाँ, correct. So कोई भी डिसीजन, कोई भी चॉइस जब हम लोग लेते हैं, ठीक है, उसका जो नतीजा है, उसका जो आउटकम है, हमें उस वक्त पता नहीं होता है. A lot of times, astrologers can give us some amount of guidance कि आप लोगों का compatibility score इतना है और 36 में से इतने गुण मिलते हैं. So they can do all of those things, but then still that is not set in stone. वो जरूरी नहीं है कि वो वैसा ही होगा. So nobody in the world has this, privilege or has that guarantee कि ये decision लिया है तो इसका outcome ऐसा ही होगा. Okay? When we take the decision, we always have limited variables on the basis of which we make that choice. Okay? So once we make the choice, हमें बाद में ही पता चलता है. तो decision लेने के टाइम पे consequences हमारे कंट्रोल में है ही नहीं. डिसीजन लेने के टाइम पे सिर्फ वो जो नॉलेज है हम लोगों के पास, using that we make the decision. So at that point of time, from the kind of different men who were there around you, and then you met this particular person, so you might have done a comparative analysis, or you might have felt that so far from the men that I have met, this guy looks like a different one, so let me give this relationship a chance. Okay? But I'm sure that eventually, if you have noticed that things did not work out, you have already sensed the red flags. Okay? So ideally, that should have been a point wherein you decide to do something about it. Okay, decide to do something about it, as in that this is something that I didn't sign up for, and I would not like to pursue this misaligned, relationship. That is the, point. But then, if at that point of time you have second guessed yourself, and if you feel that yes, I want to be in it, then that is nothing but you have consciously made a choice. Okay? So now regret can come from, कि ठीक है, I did not know enough, मुझे पता नहीं था इसलिए मैंने वो गलती किया, पता होता तो नहीं करते. और regret can come from, हाँ मुझे पता था कि ये ऐसे ही होने वाला है, मुझे डाउट था कि ऐसा ही होगा, मुझे हिंट तो मिल गया था ये इंसान के क्वालिटी से कि this person is capable of doing this and this, but even then we were so blinded that we were not able to stop ourselves. Correct? So we go on wishing that, I wish life had a rewind button. Okay, so we have to come to that point of acceptance. Okay, so to overcome regret, acceptance and regret, they go hand in hand. Okay, only when we come to the point of acceptance, only then regret will look smaller. Otherwise, regret will always look like a bigger pain that you have to solve. क्योंकि उसको क्लोजर नहीं मिला है. वो जो आपने डिसीजन लिया है उसको आपने क्लोज नहीं किया है. दैट इज नॉट अ चैप्टर दैट यू हैव क्लोज्ड. वो अभी तक वो ऑनगोइंग है. अभी तक आपने वो पन्ने को खोल के रखा है. समटाइम्स सर्टेन बुक्स वी कीप अ बुकमार्क. तो आपने वो चैप्टर ऑफ लाइफ में अभी भी बुकमार्क रखा है. तो द अदर चैप्टर्स यू नॉट एबल टू रीड, क्योंकि बुकमार्क वही चैप्टर वही पेज पे अभी भी अटका हुआ है. राइट? सो I hope you could resonate with some of it, Rupali. Akhilan, you raised your hand 2-3 times. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Prerna. Say good evening. Actually, okay. I was just trying to think. This normally happens in a corporate world. Okay. What happened to me was I wanted to promote my subordinate. Okay, but so during that annual review cycle, then after that, when the promotion list came, the person that I recommended was not in the list. so then when I discussed with my boss, so he told that it's a corporate management station, so he was trying to say a lot of things. But somehow then I was really taken aback, and I wanted to convey that, but that was not taken in a right spirit. So it happened to me a few times. So this definitely, even though it doesn't affect me, but the promise that I gave it to my subordinate, or there she was really good, and I could not do that. So that has really affected me, and the other person has also got disappointed. So how to, of course, then after some time, yes, it got normalized, but again that impact that it created. So somehow it didn't go through or something like that. So how to come out of that? Like what kind of how do I address this, or how to solve this kind of this?
Correct. But I'm not able to understand that. What exactly did you regret in this scenario that you explained?
I was not able to keep the promise. Keep the promise one, and definitely that person was really good, and he or she deserved that promotion or that increment or whatever you call, like, but it could not happen. Well, because of the various organization reasons, they don't have that slot, or there was no budget, something like that. So, and that time that economy was not good, so that I got 1,000 reasons from the organization saying that this is all not possible. We stopped. So something like so. So I think possibly this also could have happened to others also when you are in a deciding role. So you are able to take a decision, but your decision was overruled by the organization or your boss.
So the position of your authority was intermediate. It was not ultimate.
Okay.
Correct?
Correct.
So which means that even if you have gone ahead and taken any decision, the ultimate power will still vest with the final authority.
Correct.
and not with you.
Yes, that's correct.
So आपने बस recommend किया था.
See, there are various options, like you have ready to promote, promotable, ready to promote. So we have various options. So promotable means, yes, down the line in another 2-3 years, yes, the person can be promoted because of the work that he or she is doing. But ready to promote is immediate. See, means the next cycle he or she will get promoted. Okay. So this is our system actually. So that appraisal system. But of course, yeah, you are correct. It is the final decision is not with me, but I as a manager, definitely I can definitely influence the decision, but I could not do that.
हाँ, तो वही है ना कि you did whatever best you could. हाँ, तो यहाँ पे regret वाला scenario fit in नहीं होता है, because it was not something that you could have influenced. ठीक है, you wanted to influence it, तभी आपने उनका नाम recommend किया कि these are the candidates who have the merit to be promoted. But now that what you made was just a recommendation. It was not a declaration. The declaration has to come from the superiors.
Yeah, but again, so I
So what?
definitely.
तो ठीक है, तो आप क्या कर सकते थे उस टाइम पे?
Yeah, in fact, that also affected me. Like I was just trying to question why it happened, why I was not able to influence that, or whether what I could have done something else, something more, or pushed that, or acted earlier, like something like that. So,
Prerna, sorry for butting in.
So Akshay, is this regarding this conversation?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Basically, what 𝗟𝗃𝗲𝗯 is trying to ask is basically most of what all of us have been trying to fathom is basically you make a decision. Not everything is in your own control, is not in my control. How to live with the consequences is basically what is being asked here.
Yes, I understood his question. Akshay, thank you for rephrasing it again for me. Vishal, is there something that you wanted to add to this conversation?
Yeah, I was thinking कि शायद वो ये पूछना चाह रहे हैं कि मैंने कैंडिडेट को बड़े कॉन्फिडेंस से बोला पर वो हुआ नहीं, देन वो जो काइंड ऑफ एक गिल्ट जैसा रहता है ना कि मैं कैंडिडेट के लिए कुछ नहीं कर पाया. सो आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर ही इज ट्राइंग टू आस्क दैट थिंग.
हाँ, तो यही है ना अखिलन. आई थिंक टुडे ऑल्सो आपने 8:15 8:20 के बाद शायद ज्वाइन किया. So we started the conversation with the difference between guilt and regret. Okay, so when we let down somebody, okay, by say promising something or by acting a certain way or by saying something, तो सामने वाले को the other person feels very let down because of you. कि आपने ऐसा बोला था पर ऐसा हुआ नहीं. You said this but you're not in alignment with your words and action. Okay. So at that point of time, we feel bad. We feel bad कि we hurt somebody. We feel bad that somebody lost their trust in us. यहाँ पे your juniors, they lost their trust in you. ठीक है. अब तक if they are looking at you कि ठीक है, we look up to sir and sir recommends us. Now if they went through feelings of losing trust in you, they felt disappointed, they felt let down. Okay. So ideally, जो आप feel कर रहे थे that I'm feeling bad about letting them down, okay, that feeling is the feeling of guilt. Okay, क्योंकि guilt is what talks about the action that we took. कि this was a morally right action or this was a morally wrong action. क्योंकि मैंने बोला था उनको that yes, आपको recommend किया जाएगा, आपको मिलेगा. Now to honor your words, the superiors did not do it. तो जो आपने बोला that did not come true or hold true for them. Okay, so when we talk about guilt, it is about a certain action that we took that is not right, or it did not go right. But when we talk about regret happens from making a decision And today we feel dissatisfied about that decision. So at that point of time, we took that decision and we were 100% ki this is the way to go about it. This is the stock that I want to invest. This is the girl that I want to marry. This is the course that I want to do. Us time pe we were invested in that. But at a later point of time, हम बोलते हैं कि क्या यार मैंने ऐसा कर दिया, मुझे ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, मुझे कुछ और पढ़ लेना चाहिए था, मुझे थोड़ा वेट करके शादी कर लेना चाहिए था. So this is where you have to understand that guilt and regret are very different. Okay? So if guilt is what you felt by letting down your juniors, okay, then a sincere apology is what you can offer to help them understand that you did not willfully do it.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Yeah, that's definitely I did that.
Huh.
But I think there is a very thin line difference between guilt and this one, regret.
हाँ वही तो मैंने पूरा रामकथा मैंने उसमें बताया. I very illustratively told the entire story how guilt is different from regret, है ना. तो आप conversation आप time से join नहीं कर रहे हो फिर.
Sorry. I joined.
Can I add something? Sorry.
Yeah, Vishal, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, Prerna and Akhilan, so what I understand, I'm just telling my point of view. So, Akhilan, what Prerna is trying to say is the first part of guilt, right? Now, regret comes, let's say, for example, take your example as well. Regret comes then when you have recommended to promote a candidate and that candidate got promoted, but later on you figured that he was not worth the merit of promotion. That is the regret.
That is correct. क्योंकि आज का जो टॉपिक है ना अखिलन, there are two, I would say, there are two keywords in the topic. Why do I dash my dash? Why do I regret my choices? मतलब हमने कुछ चूज किया and after we choose it, हम बोल रहे हैं अरे मैंने क्या चूज किया, छे मैंने क्या चूज कर दिया.
Okay.
तो आपने अपने जूनियर्स को रेकमेंड कर दिया एंड वो प्रमोट हो गए. हाँ, they got promoted. After they got promoted, they have done a goof up. Now you think, अरे I chose these kind of juniors to be promoted.
Yeah, that is fine. But again, if you feel that you have taken a wrong decision, okay, you regret, but that also will lead to the guilt, correct? I don't know whether it's by the words or it's. I'm not very clear on that. Like you took a wrong decision, okay, you regret for that, but that also will that not also add to the guilt? Why I chose that wrong? Why I chose that decision? I should not have taken that decision, correct? So that will lead to the guilt. No, it's like the kind of series of regrets. Will it not lead to the guilt, or I don't know whether I'm making whatever I'm telling making sense, but just I'm asking. Sorry.
Yes. If we are persistently in the state of guilt, okay, that rather leads to shame. That leads to a sense of shame.
No, if it leads to regret, I keep thinking about that. Okay, I chose the wrong guy.
तो energy of तो वही मैं आपको बार-बार बता रही हूँ ना अखिलन, ठीक है, कि what does regret look like? Okay, that say I always wanted to pursue psychology. Somehow I did not have the courage to tell my parents that psychology is what I want to pursue. I got into commerce. Okay, now today when I'm almost doing work in the field of psychology, today I look back and I think that I should have taken a chance and told my parents. Today I would have been somewhere else. My life would have been different, and I would have been able to create more value. जो काम मैं आज कर रही हूँ इतने साल बाद शायद मैं पहले से कर रही होती, maybe 10 years before I could have started, correct? So regret comes when we make a choice and we make a decision and many years later we understand that it was not a favorable decision. तो regret कब आता है? जब काफी समय बीत जाता है and now we are seeing that the choice we made has not given us favorable circumstances, has not created value for us. That time we look back and we think that okay, I did not make the right choice, I did not make the right decision. ठीक है, जो point आप बोल रहे हो that you let down your employees. Okay, so it is something that you, by letting them down, what you are feeling, it is not exactly regret, it is guilt. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. Somehow
Now,
I think
now if you go on blaming, so now what happens is that when you go on blaming yourself for it, okay? When you go on blaming yourself that I let them down, I let them down, I let them down, okay? Then that is where, you know, you start then developing a sense of, it actually develops a sense of, you know, shame within. You're not able to give
but that is also regretting, no? Like, why I did that, correct? Is it? I'm just asking that. So I kept on thinking about that, the consequences, but it
regret
happened.
regret is simply desiring that you had chosen a different path.
See, one more thing happened. I think
No.
possibly
One more thing, बाद में. One more thing, बाद में. पहले you tell me that, are you clear with this?
I'm not clear still.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry.
Yeah, Akshay, I'll take a minute, please.
Yeah.
So Akhilan, यहाँ पे, ठीक है, you made a choice by selecting these many people and recommended. These are the people I want to recommend.
Correct.
Okay. Now tell me, what is the other choice that you could have made in this?
I could have simply not recommended some. I could have possibly done some homework, okay, whether seeing that what would have happened if I recommend, or possibly I need to wait. I should have waited. But I know very well that if I don't promote that, or if I don't give proper increment, that employee will leave the organization, and my projects would definitely will suffer because of that employee, because he has got some specific skill set, okay, which any other person, it will take time. I have to train, I have to groom them, I have to enable them, I have to. So it's a very critical resource for me. Okay.
Got it. So now you are actually, you know, building up the context, and you're, you know, putting the focus on that I had a choice to not recommend them. ये बात आप अब बोल रहे हो. I had two choices.
I could have delayed. I could have delayed, but again, if I had delayed, if I delayed, possibly it would have. He would leave the organization, and my performance or my projects will get impacted.
Correct. Yes. So when you talk about yourself, I had two choices. I had a choice to give a recommendation, or I had another choice, and that is to stay silent. Okay. I chose to speak, and therefore itana raita फैल गया. The higher ups, they, you know, denied the promotion. So that is maybe a decision that you can regret. But जो आपने बोला कि they felt let down, I had promised them, that is the guilt part of it. Okay, the two things are, you know, different, and we tend to do this, that we interchangeably use, you know, guilt and regret. Okay, so Akshay, you had something to say.
बस एक छोटा सिंपल सा पॉइंट है फॉर अकिलन स्पेसिफिकली we are always a villain in somebody else's story. Even Superman is a villain in Lex Luthor's story. So there are things we have to live with. Acceptance वाले स्टेज के बाद एक एक्शन वाला स्टेज भी आता है. 5 stages of grief या 7 stages of grief, whichever you believe in. Acceptance के बाद का आगे वाला एक्शन लो. If that resource is extremely critical, then give it your best shot. Convince your superiors once again. That's it, basically.
See, what happened 2 years back, when I was wanted to promote that guy, but in a critical time he left, because he's told that definitely he would not I know very well that this will not happen. Even though because the trust is lost. Okay. So definitely, so the critical time when we were about to do that testing and all with the customer, he left.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, one of the guy we had in the team, he took the responsibility. He accomplished the task, but it happened.
Yes, so I like that you have used this word, responsibility, क्योंकि generally क्या होता है कि we only regret the choices wherein we feel we are personally responsible for it. Okay, so if something goes wrong and it is going wrong for no fault of ours, ठीक है, मतलब वो बस अपने आप ही हो गया या something else happened because of which it went wrong. So we don't really personally regret for it. It's not our wrongdoing, or it's not that we have made that outcome to happen. But if something goes wrong because of a choice that we made, okay, let's say this girl, she had a choice to not marry this guy. She decided to marry this guy, and the guy ended up harassing her for lot of dowry and all that. And her parents had given her a choice ki, you want to marry this guy or you want to marry any other guy. But she said, no, I want to marry this guy. So she made a choice. And now she's feeling personally responsible for it, for the outcome. The outcome is that, he's, ending up harassing her. Now she's personally feeling, the regret for it, because she was responsible for making that decision. Nobody forced that decision upon her. She made that decision herself. Okay, so regret feels more, it feels very, I would say, awful. Okay, because by its very nature, it implies that you could have made some other choice, you could have taken some other action by which the present situation or that pain could have been avoided entirely. पूरा आप avoid कर सकते थे by not making this decision. And because you made that, ये पूरा हो गया, ठीक है? And again, bringing you back to the keyword responsibility. Okay, हम responsible थे decision लेने के लिए, तो हमने decision लिया, तो हमने choice बनाया. अब वो decision गलत हो गया, उसका consequences है, उसके outcomes है, which are not very good. So we start feeling regret. Now, again, what happens is that because we are so much in regret, again, we are not able to now take action. ठीक है, तो फिर से क्या होता है, ये हमारा responsibility को ही affect करता है. Okay, again, we are not able to now take action. Again, we are not able to, willing to do any kind of course correction, because now we don't like to feel responsible. हमें लगता है कि नहीं, I don't like this, very term of feeling responsible. ठीक है, तो we avoid. तो हम जब बोलते हैं ना कि we avoid taking action, we delay the decision. So, in other words, what we are doing is that we are avoiding responsibility itself. Okay? And I just gave an example of my friend who could have started, could have moved the business online, but he did not do it. So he was delaying the decision. तो जब हम कोई भी डिसीजन लेते हैं, अगर हम ये प्रेशर लेते हुए वो डिसीजन को ले, that my decision should always be right, my decision should always be having sweet consequences, there's a very, very good chance, in fact I'll say it's a 99.99% chance that that person will get into a very high level of procrastination. ये प्रेशर के साथ अगर डिसीजन मेकिंग को अप्रोच करेगा कि my decisions should always be right, my choices should always work right for me, that person will always procrastinate, क्योंकि उसने पहले ही वो आउटकम सेट कर लिया है कि there is no room for anything to go wrong, ये सही ही होना चाहिए बस. ठीक है, but that's not how life works. We make a decision, we make mistakes, फिर उससे हम सीखते हैं कि ऐसा किया तो ये आया. That's how so much of innovation and technology has developed, by experimenting. You try this, ये chemical composition try किया, work नहीं हुआ. Try something else, work नहीं हुआ. Correct? That is how it is. But we will be paralyzed and we will not take up responsibility when we always start feeling that every decision that I make should go right. Okay, so this is all that I had to share from my end. Anything that you guys want to add, please feel free, raise your hands. So Vishal has put in the chat box that we want the best outcome and the perfect one. Yeah, absolutely. So we have something called as the ideal scenario in our mind. This is how this decision should work out. This is the ideal path. And now when there is a slight deviation, or वो deviation होगा ही, वो deviation आएगा ही. Okay, so when there's that slight deviation, then we are not able to actually take it. Right? So when we live too much in the energy of regret, it makes us, it puts us in the victim energy. So we become a victim of our past choices, which anyway cannot be undone. Right? So, like I also said, that regret and acceptance go hand in hand. Okay, so it's one of the ways how I would say we can avoid regret is by not focusing too much on making the right choice, but about trusting yourself that you will handle the consequences of your choice. तो यहाँ पे हम लोगों का जो ability है वो हम लोगों को build करना है, ठीक है? And वो ability हम लोग कब build कर पाएंगे? When we make peace and we accept कि yes, मेरे से गलती हो गई because of XYZ reasons. Okay, either I was not willing to listen to the blind spots, either I knew कि ऐसा होगा, but even then I decided to give it a try, or either that I didn't know. मुझे पता ही नहीं था. I was ignorant. I didn't know. So whatever is your reason for having committed that mistake, for having pursued that path, okay, you have to come to that point of acceptance. And ये acceptance, it's not a journey of a day. ये कोई switch button नहीं है कि acceptance का button कहाँ है, उसको switch on कर दो and the action taking will start. Okay, so acceptance also is a journey that we have to undertake by first of all grieving for that loss. ठीक है कि ठीक है, I felt this sense of loss. ठीक है, whatever it impacted you in, so you have to grieve for it कि ठीक है, I wanted this and it's no longer going to be that way. And that version of you who took that decision, you start by actually showing compassion to that version of you who took that decision कि शायद इसको नहीं पता था उस टाइम पे. That version of you had only so much knowledge, had only evolved to that point in life, right? So accept the path of acceptance. It starts from building compassion for oneself, or for the choices that we make, for the kind of knowledge that we had until then. Okay, so when we say that we want to build acceptance, so all of this is a part of it. Showing compassion, trusting yourself, and trusting not only your current self, but also trusting the past version of yourself कि मेरा जो past version था ना, उन्होंने भी कुछ तो सोच समझ के decision लिया था, ठीक है? And that is how then you will be able to project that trust into the future version of yourself. ठीक है, तीनों को integrate करना है. इसको ऐसा नहीं है कि ठीक है, I trust my future version to make good decisions. My past version was a complete dumbo and dumbass and just didn't know what to do. Hey, you speak the language of compassion, only then you can organically come to the point of acceptance. Okay? And of course, any decision that we take, we only have a certain idea about it. So that is where we invite the universe, or we invite the higher power, or we invite the Lord to fill in the gaps of the unknown. Okay? This is what I know, but then the unknown part of it, you please fill it up for me. Okay, so on that note, I think I'm signing off. Anything else anybody wants to add, please feel free. Anamika, anything you want to add?
It was a wonderful session, Prerna. You covered it all wonderfully. Oh, that's great. While you were talking, just one word which was coming to my mind, which is kind of a little sharp. when it comes to, us regretting something that has gone wrong or a mistake that we have made, and then we feel that we should have done it differently. However, there are two sides of the spectrum. On one side, there is regret, and on the other side, there is ownership and responsibility, right? So these two things, are kind of on the, on the opposite sides, right? So regret is where we are, or so you define the entire path and everything. But one thing that I have realized from my own, life, from my own experience, and observing, people when they get out of the regret, one shift that definitely comes up is key. Now what has happened, and it's time for me to take ownership and responsibility of what I can do now. Right. So there's so much of energy leakage that's going into the past. We realize that there's too much of cost that we are paying in the present moment by also not doing, so we are still in the state of doing kind of, how should I say, wasting our time, right? Or wasting the resources, and not wasting in a way as if we have to chase something or achieve something only. We could just be happy, and we could just enjoy and make something meaningful out of our life in the present moment. But we continue to live, in the past. And when we surpass that state, we realize there's too much, energy in the present moment also, which is flowing over there. And that's not what the cost, what I want to pay, right? So slowly, when we transition from this ownership and responsibilities, what we start taking, ठीक है? क्योंकि जो हो गया उसके लिए तो अभी कुछ कर नहीं सकते हैं, but that character development is about how we can start owning things up in the present moment, क्योंकि और कुछ है नहीं. Yeah, that was coming to my mind right now.
Very nice, Anamika. Thank you so much. Okay, Tarunji, are you here? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Prerna. Very nice session and very good participation by all. I enjoyed the session. Totally, whatever I wanted to speak, Anamika has already covered. So I would just say I'll concur. And your stories were very nice. It gave the particularly very profound is the difference between guilt and regret. So that you explained very nicely. Thanks. Back to you.
Thank you, Tarunji. Thank you all for joining in. I hope that we had some good discussion about where this pattern starts. Okay, so these calls are designed to just give you an idea of when we are feeling stuck, why it happens. As such, if you want more clarity on it, on how to address it, the consequences here, how to move forward. Okay, that is something that we do on a one-to-one basis in our clarity calls and in our sessions. Okay, so this is more of the knowledge sharing sessions, wherein we bring you to the point of awareness. The awareness ke baad, when we have to, what Anamika said, the ownership and the responsibility part of it, that has to be done step by step. That does not really happen in an open discussion. तो अगर open discussion में आके, if you are thinking कि I am attending open discussions from so many years, but so many months, and this is not happening, क्योंकि logically you have understood many things, you have intellectualized many things कि ऐसा है, this is how it is, but ownership and responsibility comes when you start taking action step by step and bit by bit. Okay, so for this we recommend that either you hold yourself to that level of discipline, you hold yourself to that structure of accountability, or you work with a coach who can chalk it out for you, the plan of action. Okay, so essentially the how part of it, and how do I apply it in my scenario, and how do I walk the path with these consequences and these circumstances that I have, so that when you work with a coach, they will be able to break it down for you and customize it according to your journey. Okay, so on that note, I'll sign off. Thank you all for joining in. So next week we're going to have Biochem Simplified. Who is this? Anything you want to say?
That's Liji.
Liji, okay. Yes, Liji. You want to add anything? Your hand is up. Okay. I'm assuming it's by mistake. Okay. Thank you.